This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. And as always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. Alright, so it's Friday. Best day of the week, as always. And we're going to have a bit of fun today. We're going to be talking about the NBA games from yesterday in the first segment. Second segment, we're going to be talking about Joel Embiid being out 2 to 4 weeks for Philly. Just give my thoughts on that whole situation. I mean, Philly's been dominating the headlines as of this past week, so we're going to be talking about them. Third segment, I want to talk about, actually I was on the GSMC MMA show earlier, and we were talking about Floyd Mayweather meeting Tate, so I actually want to talk about that for this segment. Kind of an intriguing topic. Just got a lot of thoughts I want to get off as far as talking about Floyd. And pretty much boxers as a whole, I guess, moving over to that MMA world. And because you've got Anthony Joshua, who I think is, I don't know if he's really working a deal right now, but there's kind of been rumors as far as maybe Dana White offering him a bunch of money to head over there. So we'll be talking about that. Just like I said, I want to give some thoughts on it. I think it's a real fun topic to talk about. And then for the fourth segment, we'll get some baseball in. Turns out Giancarlo Stanton and the Yankees might actually be pretty good this season. And we'll be talking about anything else going on in sports, plus making my picks for tonight's games. So let's get into it. All right. So first up, we had the Washington Wizards facing off with the Detroit Pistons. Detroit won this one 103-92. For Washington, you had Markieff Morris with 11 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 5 of 15, 1 of 6 from the three-point line. Otto Porter Jr. had 7 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Bradley Beal, 15 points, 5 rebounds, shot 6 of 17. Tomas Satoransky had 11 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, shot 4 of 8. And then off the bench, you had Kelly Oubre Jr. with 14 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. For the Detroit Pistons, you had Anthony Tolliver with 14 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 4 of 6 from the field. Stanley Johnson had 9 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 4 of 11. Andre Drummond, 24 points, 23 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 10 of 16. Reggie Jackson had 13 points, 8 assists, and then you had Reggie Bullock with 14 points there. No Blake Griffin in this one. I believe he was out either injured or just one of those rest days. But either way, Detroit won this one 103-92. I believe right now in the Eastern Conference standings, I think the Wizards, if the season ended today, would be facing off with the Boston Celtics, and that's a tough matchup for Boston because John Wall, I think, is going to be back. Or actually, no, the Celtics would be facing off with the Heat. Right now, the Wizards are still in the 6th spot, and I think I have to double check the Heat game because I know they played yesterday, so we'll get to that. So maybe they just ended up losing, but I believe at one point yesterday, the Wizards were in the 7th spot, and that's one team for sure Boston does not want to see in the playoffs first round because of the fact they're going to have John Wall back, and you won't have Kyrie or Marcus Smart back until maybe the second round, hopefully for them. But anyways, like I said, Detroit won that one 103-92. Then, speaking of the Heat, we had them playing against the Bulls, and the Heat won this one 103-92. For the Bulls, you had Robin Lopez with 13 points, 6 rebounds, shot 6 of 12. Cameron Artis-Payne had 11 points, 5 assists, shot 4 of 10. Justin Holiday had 13 points, shot 3 of 10 there. And then off the bench, you had Bobby Portis with 13 points, 16 rebounds, shot 6 of 16 from the field there. Bobby Portis is a very good off-the-bench player, and I don't know why he really doesn't get the recognition I guess you could say he deserves. Maybe just because of the fact that he's doing this all on a bad team. But nonetheless, the guy's been playing really well this season, I feel. For the Miami Heat, you had James Johnson, only 2 points in this one, 8 rebounds, shot 1 of 5. Josh Richardson had 22 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 8 of 16. Hassan Whiteside came back in this one, 8 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, only 19 minutes played. Goran Dragic had 17 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and then off the bench you had Kelly Olynyk with 11 points, 3 rebounds, shots 4 of 7 from the field, 2 of 4 from the three-point line, and then Justice Winslow with 13 points, 9 rebounds, shot 5 of 8 there. Once again, the Heat won that one, 103-92, and the Heat, I'm not sure they could get past a team like Boston even without Kyrie or Marcus Smart, just because of the fact that right now, the way Brad Stevens has that team playing has been extremely well. But I don't know, just I guess Boston would be the best opportunity for Miami because I just don't see them knocking off the Cavs or the Raptors. So I guess, let's see, they're currently, they're 4 games back of the Pacers for that 5 seed. So it's not like the West where everyone's kind of bunched up. So, I mean, Miami's only real chance is getting that 6 seed. And it turns out it's looking like that Philly and Indiana are going to be fighting for that 4 and 5 spot, since Washington is also 3.5 games back of Indiana for that 5 spot, and 3.5 games of Indiana and Philly for those 4 and 5 spots. So that's kind of, I think that we got the top 5 pretty set up. It's going to be Philly or Indiana as the 4 or 5, and then from the 6, 7, 8, it's going to be kind of interchangeable there, since only a game separates the 8th seed from the 6th seed. But anyways, for the next game, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder facing off with the San Antonio Spurs, and San Antonio won this one 103-99. Carmelo Anthony had 9 points, 3 rebounds, 3-6 shooting, 3-3 from the 3-point line. Corey Brewer had 14 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, shot 5 of 8. Paul George, 26 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, shot 9 of 20, 3 of 6 from the 3-point line. Steven Adams had 10 points, 13 rebounds. And then you had Russell Westbrook with 19 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 7 of 19, 0 of 4 from the 3-point line. Patrick Patterson had 7 points, 1 rebound off the bench. And then you had Raymond Felton with 10 points in that one. For the Spurs, you had LaMarcus Aldridge. He had 25 points, 11 rebounds, shot 9 of 19. Kyle Anderson had 10 points in this one. Pau Gasol got the start. 6 points, 12 rebounds, shot 2 of 7. Patty Mills struggled in this one. 14 points, shot 3 of 12, 3 of 9 from the 3-point line. And then you had Dejounte Murray with 7 points, 7 assists, 8 rebounds, shot 3 of 8. Off the bench, you had Manu Ginobili with 10 points, shot 2 of 4 in 15 minutes. And you had Danny Green with 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 27 minutes played there. With OKC, I mean, it's just a matter of, what do we have here? All right, they're currently the 5 seed, right behind the Spurs, who have moved up to the 4 seed. And the Spurs have started to make a little bit of a run. I mean, we still don't know what's going on with Kawhi Leonard, which is now, I guess, since Markelle Fultz has come back, has now become the weirdest story of the NBA season, at least the weirdest active story going on. And right now with the Thunder, they're only a half game up on New Orleans, who is currently in the 6th seed. They're only a game up on Minnesota, who's currently in the 7th seed. And they're only, I guess you could say, a game and a half up on Utah for that 8th spot. Okay, so with the Thunder, I mean, I think we could all just say that this experiment never really worked. I mean, if they end up getting, because this was a team that was built to knock off the Warriors, or compete with them at least, and beat the Rockets, okay? You don't bring in a Carmelo Anthony and a Paul George along with a Russell Westbrook, who's already there, to make it to the second round and be like, oh, yeah, that worked out. This was fun. No, you do that to compete with the top teams, and I'm sure that's what they had in mind. And I know there was a lot of people out there who thought, oh, yeah, this team's going to be very good, but no one really realized, I guess you could say, that, I mean, you had 3 primary ball handlers on the same team, and there's real no help outside of them besides Steven Adams, okay? Raymond Felton, believe it or not, is past his prime, and just everyone else on that team just really isn't as productive as you'd like him to be. And even then, so like I said, you got 3 primary ball handlers. You guys need guys with the ball in their hands at all times. I mean, Russell Westbrook is going to go out and get his no matter what. That's just the type of player he is. Carmelo Anthony has seen a down year. And then you got Paul George, who's been kind of off and on, I guess you could say. And this team isn't really going to stick together past this year, I feel. All right, I really don't see Paul George coming back to Oklahoma City. I mean, he'll probably end up in LA or I'm not even sure where exactly he's going to end up. Carmelo Anthony, I think, has the opportunity to opt out from his contract after this season. And like with Carmelo Anthony, what real market is there for him outside of the, like, yeah, what is anyone paying for a Carmelo Anthony? Like, who wants Carmelo Anthony on your team? Because if anything, this year has hurt his career more than anything else has, just because of the fact that he's been very inefficient and he just hasn't had a good year this season. All right, so who's going to want to go out and say, like, oh, yeah, we need Carmelo Anthony to come out and play for us? I mean, it's not like, I don't know, maybe it's just a bad year for him, but it's just a matter of, if I'm a contender, do I really want to bring a guy like Melo on my team, or do I want to stray away and stick to something else? All right, that's just what I'm kind of trying to get at here. Just the season has really hurt Melo's stock, I feel, as far as free agency goes. His best bet might just ending up remaining back in Oklahoma City, but we'll see about it. And as far as Russell Westbrook goes, I hope that guy has an opt-out deal on that contract somewhere, because of the fact that once KD left and he signed that long-term extension, that was quite a mistake, I believe, for Russell Westbrook. But anyways, for the next game, we had the Indiana Pacers facing off with the Sacramento Kings, and Indiana won this one 106-103. You had Thaddeus Young with 18 points, 8 rebounds, shot 8 of 13. Bojan Bogdanovic had 25 points, shot 7 of 13. Miles Turner had 9 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 3 of 8 there. Darren Collison also shot 3 of 8, had 8 points, 9 assists, 3 rebounds. And then you had Victor Oladipo with 24 points, 5 rebounds, shot 9 of 14, 2 of 7 from the three-point line. For the Sacramento Kings, you had Scalabissier, who only turned in 2 points, 3 rebounds in 26 minutes. Justin Jackson had 5 points in this one. Willie Cauley-Stein, 19 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 9 of 11 there. De'Aaron Fox had 8 points, 5 rebounds, shot 4 of 8. Bogdan Bogdanovic, 21 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 8 of 15 shooting, 4 of 9 from the three-point line. No relation to Bojan Bogdanovic. And off the bench, you had Kosta Koufos with 7 points, 4 rebounds, and then Frank Mason dropped in 12 points on 5 of 10 shooting, 2 of 4 from the three-point line. The Kings might have found themselves a very nice backup point guard in Frank Mason, let me tell you. And then Buddy Hield had 20 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 7 of 12, 4 of 7 from the three-point line. Once again, the Pacers won this one 106-103. With the Pacers, it's business as usual for them. They're currently the 5 seed right now. Could pass up Philly since Philly's going to be without Joel Embiid, which we'll be talking about in the next segment. So actually, we'll stick to that right now. And then for the next game, we had Milwaukee facing off with Golden State, and Milwaukee won this one 116-107. This game was in Oracle, too, in Oakland. All right, you had Giannis Antetokounmpo with 32 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 4 of 18 from the field. Chris Middleton had 23 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 9 of 17, 3 of 4 from the three-point line. Eric Bledsoe had 20 points, 6 assists, shot 9 of 11 there. And then off the bench, you had Jabari Parker with 14 points, 7 rebounds, shot 6 of 12. And Jason Terry had 8 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, shot 3 of 4 there. For the Golden State Warriors, you had Draymond Green with 11 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, shot 4 of 7. Kevin Durant only played 17 minutes in this one, got ejected. Wasn't really a good move by the ref, I guess, ejecting Kevin Durant, just because of the fact that it seemed like it was a little bit overblown there, and Kevin Durant just for getting ejected at the time he did. He had 10 points, 6 assists. You had JaVale McGee with 12 points, 0 rebounds, which is kind of sad to see, honestly. Quinn Cook had 30 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 12 of 15 from the field, 5 of 5 from the three-point line. And then Patrick McCaw had 12 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 3 of 9, 2 of 6 from the three-point line. With the Warriors, it kind of feels like this might be the year. All right, this might be the year where they don't make it to the finals. Okay, because it's kind of crazy to see, because it's like either they make it to the finals and they win, or they do have a real possibility of just not making it at all. Okay, the top 2 teams in the league by far are in the West, and it's just a matter of now with the Warriors. Seems like everything's going wrong at the worst time possible right now. Okay, Kevin Durant got his 5th ejection in the season. I think that was more than he had combined before this season. In his career. It's just Draymond Green's been dealing with injuries. He came back yesterday. Kevin Durant's been dealing with injuries. He came back yesterday and got ejected. And you got Steph Curry and Klay Thompson who are still out injured. So it's just with the Warriors, they got to tread carefully. All right, it's going to be very tough this postseason, because as of right now, they'd be facing off with a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves with no Steph Curry. Timberwolves would have Jimmy Butler. That'd be a tough series. And then you're going to get your choice at probably Portland or New Orleans. All right, Portland's going to give them a series. New Orleans will probably make them work a little bit more. Not a little bit more, but make them work. All right, Portland's the one who can maybe get it to 6 games. New Orleans will probably get it to 5 games. Would be a tough 5-game series for the Warriors. And then once you get to the Western Conference Finals, the Rockets are going to be waiting for you. So this is going to be their toughest postseason to date. So we'll see about it. But either way, that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Like I said, next up, we're going to be talking about Joel Embiid's injury to Philly and pretty much give my thoughts on it. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Alright, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. spent that first segment talking about yesterday's NBA games, recap those. Kevin Durant got ejected in his first game back from injury with the Warriors. All right, let's see. I think I saw Andre Iguodala exited the game yesterday with a sore knee. So right now the Warriors are being hit with injuries left and right, and it's going to be tough for them, especially going into this postseason. But we'll have to wait and see about it. Klay Thompson, I'm not sure if he's going to be back before the regular season ends or if he's just going to come back during the first round. And with Steph Curry, he won't be back till at least the second round of the playoffs. So we'll see about it. But either way, that's not the only team dealing with injuries right now. You got the Philadelphia 76ers with having Joel Embiid out for 2 to 4 weeks at least, out with a orbital fracture and a concussion. All right. And with Philly, I mean, they were riding high. Things were looking good. You had Markelle Fultz coming back, and it's looking like he's able to contribute, able to produce. Obviously, his jump shot doesn't I don't know with this. Like, it's only been 2 games, but we can't really give a definitive answer on whether or not he could shoot the ball or either way because of the fact that, I mean, he went 5 of 13, I think it was, something like that against in his first game back. When it's tough, I mean, you've been out since October, so obviously you're not going to be shooting the lights out the ball. And then I think he went 1 of 5. I think he went 5 of 13. Yeah, 5 of 13 in his first game, and then he went 1 of 5 in his second game. So with the Sixers, I mean, it was looking good. Everything was on the up and up, and coincidentally, it was Fultz who injured Embiid. All right, I think their heads bumped against each other, and that's how Embiid got his injury. And at first, I mean, it looked like it was tough, but it was kind of like you figured, oh, Embiid's probably got a concussion or his head just hurts a little bit because of the fact that they bumped. But no, it turns out he's got an orbital fracture and a concussion already. So, I mean, obviously what this means for Philly, let me see if I can take a look at their schedule going forward too. But either way, right now, they're currently the 4 seed. And without a guy like Embiid, this team isn't what we've seen so far, okay? Because of the fact that Embiid is, without a doubt, the best player on that team. Ben Simmons has had a very good rookie year, I guess you could say. And I'm saying I guess you could say because of the fact that, I mean, some people don't like to call him a rookie by any means, but, I mean, he is one, so there's that. So either way, I mean, yeah, you're losing Joel Embiid, and you got Ben Simmons pretty much saying it's frustrating because of the fact that this Sixers team, obviously, I think is a little ahead as far as their rebuild goes because of the fact that I'm not sure anyone really expected them to be the 4 seed, especially with a guy like Markelle Fultz being out for the rest of the season, but nonetheless, here they are. And their schedule the rest of the way isn't really bad at all, honestly. You got the Hawks going. They got the Hawks tonight. Then they'll be playing the Hornets, the Nets, the Pistons, the Cavs, the Mavericks, the Hawks again, and then the Bucks. All right. Obviously, they're not going to be playing the Toronto Raptors or Celtics at all for the rest of the season. I don't think they have any more divisional games as it is, except for is Brooklyn in that Pacific Division? And that's kind of weird too. Now you think about it. I mean, no one really talks about the divisions anymore. But either way, let's see. Brooklyn is in the Atlantic Division. You got New York in there too. But either way, with Philly, I mean, it's tough. All right, they were 26-11 at home, kind of average road record, but nonetheless playing well, averaging 108 points per game, only giving up 105. And now it's just a matter of you got to hope that one, you get to hold your position for that top 4 spot in the East. All right, so you have home court in the first round because they'd be playing a team like Indiana, and Indiana is no pushover, let me tell you, okay? So, yeah, you'd want that. And even then, so, I mean, Philly doesn't get far at all without Joel Embiid in the playoffs, okay? Because you've been having people, now it's kind of like the story is, can Philly make a run in the playoffs? And like I've been saying before, yes, they can, all right? Philly is a team that can go out and make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and if things went their way, could make it to the finals, all right? Philly with Joel Embiid could beat the Pacers, and that'd be more so a pick 'em type series right there because of the fact that Indiana is a really good team. But even then, I mean, you say Philly gets past the Pacers, they'd be facing off with a team like Toronto, and we've known Toronto has come to have their faults in the playoffs, okay? Obviously, this year, Toronto seems a little bit different. I'm enjoying watching them, and I think that they're going to be better this go-around in the playoffs rather than how they've been the last few years. I think Kyle Lowry's probably going to have to step up, obviously. He's been pretty much a ghost when it comes playoff time for the Raptors. But I think this year's a little bit different because of the fact that you got guys like Fred VanVleet and the rest of that bench who can go out and produce, give you double-digit points per game whenever it need be. All right, but with Philly, it's just like, let's put it this way, okay? Joel Embiid, he missed like the first 2 seasons of his NBA career because of injury, rehabbing it. You had Ben Simmons who missed a year because of a fractured ankle, I think it was. Markelle Fultz missed most of the season because of a little shoulder injury, plus he had the yips. And I think even when they drafted Nerlens Noel, wasn't he out for a while? with them. And that's one thing too. Philly has had their fair share at number 1 picks, and that goes to show you how tough it is to draft. All right, because they've had 5 top 3 picks, 5 top 4 picks within the last 5 years, I guess you could say. They went Nerlens Noel, Jahlil Okafor, Ben Simmons, Embiid, Fultz. Obviously, that isn't in any order or anything like that. Right now, I think you could say they've only hit on 2 of them. All right, we got to wait and see with Fultz. Obviously, Nerlens Noel being in Dallas, not really playing any big minutes, and Jahlil Okafor playing for Brooklyn, not even playing big minutes there. Obviously, those were bad picks by the Sixers. All right, and I think with the Sixers, when they got Okafor, wasn't that the year Towns came out in the draft? And I have to double check the order, but I really hope that the Sixers didn't end up passing on Towns, which I don't think they did. I think that year they had the 3rd pick, and the Timberwolves had the 2nd. So I think the Timberwolves might have snatched up Karl-Anthony Towns right before, or it might have been 1 and 2. But either way, with the Sixers this year, or just going back to the whole drafting act, it's tough to go out and get solid number 1 picks, and let alone, you could draft a productive number 1 pick, but they're not always going to turn out to be future superstars like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. So they really hit the lottery there. And with Markelle Fultz, if he does ever learn to develop his jumper once again. And one thing, too, I've noticed is that his mid-range shot is a little bit better than anything else. And that's one of the things that why Fultz has been, why he was so good, so touted coming into the draft. Because of the fact that his mid-range was very good. And he could drive to the rack and take threes. But I haven't really seen him shoot a 3 yet so far. And maybe with Fultz, it's just a matter of comfortability and waiting to see where you're at. Because let's not forget, the dude... that guy was out there in front of thousands on top of thousands of people shooting free throws the way that he did. That's going to kill your confidence. So maybe it's just a confidence thing as far as him shooting the 3 ball. But either way, getting back to Embiid, it's just tough because now you're missing a guy like that. Who are you going to plug in there? All right. Are you going to go out and start Amir Johnson? I'm sure they don't want to do that. Obviously, you got Sarge and all those guys. But, it doesn't work. It does not work without Joel Embiid. And if he's not back by the first round, then I don't see them getting past Indiana. I really don't see it becoming much of a series. All right, let me see. Who can they possibly have come off the bench to start for him? They're really... you go guy like Ilya Silva, maybe Amir Johnson. They're not really a big team, so I would have to think it'd be Amir Johnson coming off the bench to start for them. But either way, with Joel Embiid, it's just kind of... It stinks to see because of the fact that he spent most of his career missing games more so than he was playing them. All right. I don't think last year he played 30 or something games, something like that, somewhere around there. This year he finally got back to playing back-to-backs, wasn't being held out of the second games of back-to-backs anymore. And it looked like he was finally going to get through the season injury-free. All right. And that's one thing too with Philly is injuries hit the city at the worst possible time, I feel. Okay. If you head over to the NFL, we had the Eagles playing well. Carson Wentz was on his way to an MVP award. All right. Looking like the best team in the league. They're playing well against the Rams, and then all of a sudden, that same game, you got Carson Wentz who blows out his knee, all right? And obviously, that little Philadelphia injury story ends in a little bit of happiness because of the fact that you had Nick Foles who came in and took him to the Super Bowl and won it. But nonetheless, you get what I'm getting at here, okay? Philly, when they're riding so high, gets hit so hard to the point where they get so low, okay? And that's with Joel Embiid, that's with Carson Wentz. Philly had all the optimism in the world. And then you get a guy like Embiid who gets hurt out for 2 to 4 weeks. And it's just all that optimism is just out the drain. And it's not like Embiid is going to be out for the rest of the season. He does have an opportunity to come back and play in the playoffs. I think right now they only got they've played 74 games. You got about 8 games left. And let me see if I can check the dates on their games just to see pretty much what we got going on as far as how he's going to be out. So you got March game tonight, March 30th. Season ends April 11th. All right, so I think that is going to be a couple of weeks right there. Yeah, so you have about April 11th is kind of a week and a half, and again, playoffs probably start right that weekend after that. So I think if I'm Embiid, I'm just gonna throw the mask on and try and rush out there, okay? Because of the fact that yes, it is an injury, yes, it is one that hurts, but this team needs him, and it is a facial injury, so you just throw the mask on there, and I think you go out and play well. But like I said, it's just a matter of it's up to him. And with the Sixers, you got to be extremely frustrated, like Ben Simmons said he was, because of the fact that it seems like everything was finally being put together. Process was finally almost complete. And now it's it's like the whole take 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. That's exactly what this is right here. They were taking steps forward. Now they're all the way in the back. Without Embiid, Philly isn't even a playoff team. Or I'm not sure really how this is going to affect Ben Simmons because of the fact that he does play the point guard position there, and he is better with the ball in his hands. But you're not going to have a guy like Embiid you could throw to and take care of business in the paint. You're pretty much going to have to, Ben Simmons is going to have to step up and do more, and I think we're going to have to see Markelle Fultz step up and do more too. Because of the fact that it's just now you need the guys you drafted with top picks to come up and pretty much lead this team. All right, and this is one thing, this is all hindsight and stuff like that, but this is one of the reasons why, well, not obviously this one reason, but stuff like this is why I figured Markelle Fultz probably should have just waited till next season to come back because of the fact that now there's going to be more added pressure since a guy like Joel Embiid is out. All right, Markelle Fultz was the number 1 pick this year, and people aren't going to forget that. All right, people are going to be watching Markelle Fultz like a hawk. Okay, what did he do today? Is he shooting better? How many shots did he take? Did he take any threes? Okay, and now with Joel Embiid out, they're going to need a whole lot more production out of him just to pretty much be that second guy alongside Ben Simmons who can keep the team afloat. All right, you got guys like Robert Covington and Dario Saric. Saric has been a real good player for them this season, probably one of their most consistent players this season. Robert Covington has been kind of off and on as far as the shot. But either way, I mean, with Philly, it just stinks to see here. I mean, they don't really have a tough taxing schedule or anything like that for the rest of the season, so I think they'll be able to maintain that 4 or 5 spot. And if their best case scenario for Philly is that they end up with the 4 seed and Embiid comes back by game 1 or possibly in game 2, but we're going to have to wait and see about it, all right? It's going to be tough for them, and it's just a bad situation that they've fallen into here with Embiid getting hurt just because of the fact that they were playing so well. But that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to be talking about Floyd Mayweather possibly ending up in the UFC, doing little MMA-style fights. All right, also, I think there's a rumor going around that Dana White has also talked to Anthony Joshua and his little representative, so we'll do that. And then for the 4th segment, we'll be talking MLB and anything else going on in the world of sports. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA, from the UFC to extreme cage fighting. They got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far today, we've talked only NBA. We recapped yesterday's games in the first segment. We talked about Philly in the second segment. They're going to be without Joel Embiid for 2 to 4 weeks, out with an orbital fracture and a concussion. And this is probably the worst possible thing that could happen to the Sixers. It is the worst possible thing that could happen to the Sixers. And it's not like he's out for the rest of the season or anything like that, but it's just a matter of the team was on the up and up, playing well, and now so it's kind of like there's a damper in it. I think he'll be back by the time the playoffs start. At least he should be around near that time, I guess you could say. But now it's just a matter of, I don't know. Like, this might be overblown. It just might be us talking about a Joel Embiid injury once again. But it's just, the injuries do not leave this team alone. All right, these injuries follow them. But either way, Joel Embiid's out 2 to 4 weeks. Going to see if Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz could hold it down. And it's kind of unfair to put it on Markelle Fultz, but he's the number 1 pick this year, and he does need to step up. All right, you're back playing. Step up. Start playing with like a number 1 pick. It's not a matter of, okay, well, let's give him time and pretty much just walk him through it. Like, no, they're thrown into the fire. All right, this is the NBA. You got to play well. So we'll see about it. But either way, for this segment, I want to talk about Floyd Mayweather a bit. All right, yesterday we talked about Canelo and Triple G, the fight possibly being canceled, and it's just a shame because, I mean, there's going to be all kinds of excuses with either result. All right. And I think actually there'll be more excuses if Canelo were to win a fight against Triple G in the future rather than if Triple G wins. If Triple G wins, then it's like he beat the guy who was juicing. Canelo wins, Triple G would have won if they would have had the fight sooner, if Canelo wouldn't have failed his drug test and all that. So now it's just a matter of it's not looking too good for them. But That's not the only headline that's been out in boxing for the last couple of weeks. All right. And even then, so maybe the last month or so. All right. Floyd Mayweather obviously is a guy who likes to keep the people entertained. Okay. Likes to make his money. Is a good businessman. Knows what he's doing. And there's been all this talk about Floyd and the MMA. All right. UFC, I should say. Could Floyd possibly make a crossover and start fighting in the cage, in the octagon, okay? And obviously this all came from Floyd's fight with McGregor, okay? Pretty much did whatever he wanted against McGregor, and McGregor fans will say, oh yeah, would you watch the first couple of rounds? I mean, McGregor was looking good. It's like Floyd let him do all that, all right? Because once Floyd was ready to start fighting, Floyd pretty much wiped the floor with McGregor, and it just wasn't even close, all right? And since then, we've had the whole Floyd Mayweather could possibly cross over into the octagon and fight in the UFC for an absurd amount of money. And it's just a matter of, will this ever happen? Okay? And with Floyd Mayweather, obviously, he's not dumb by any means. Okay? He knows what he's doing, and he knows how to make money, and he knows how to do it the right way, I guess you could say. All right? He knows how long things need to wait. He knows when you need to execute them and all that. I mean, with the Pacquiao fight, okay? Obviously, people wanted it sooner rather than later, okay? People say the fight happened 5 years too late. But let's say that they end up, and I guess, I don't know, I'm kind of thinking right now, because obviously they fought late in their careers, and I mean, the excuse for Pacquiao was his shoulder was hurt or something like that, and if this would have been a few years earlier, then it would have been a completely different fight. And I guess I don't really agree with that, but as far as getting with it or whatever, it's like at the time the fight happened, that's probably when they would have made the most money, okay? Because most of us, I'm sure, thought the fight was never going to happen. It was just negotiation after negotiation. He's ducking him. Floyd's ducking Pacquiao. Pacquiao's ducking Floyd. And it was more so the thing that about it was that Floyd was ducking Pacquiao, but I don't think that was ever the case. I think it was more so Pacquiao ducking Floyd, all right? Because obviously I'm sure Floyd wanted more money than what Pacquiao was getting as far as the percentage split and all that. And obviously that should be the case, all right? Floyd was the bigger draw. Floyd's always been the bigger draw than Pacquiao. But nonetheless, the fight happened and all that. And what I'm trying to get at is Floyd, that fight happening when it did was probably the best case scenario because of the fact that that's when the interest for the fight, I guess, peaked. All right, it was like, we're finally getting it and all that. And you got Floyd, who fought McGregor after he retired, Mayweather retired, and made a bunch of money there. Now we've gotten to the point where it's, could Floyd possibly fight in the UFC? Okay? And the figure that's been thrown around, I guess, to get him out there is $500 million. All right, $500 million. And with Floyd, it's more now, he's making videos of him walking into octagons. He's got the shorts on and all that, saying he's ready. You got Tyron Woodley saying to give him a few months and he could train Floyd. And Floyd Mayweather saying that his resting is about at a 7 right now. And that's all cool. Floyd Mayweather thinking his resting's at a 7. All right. And obviously Floyd Mayweather is the one who's giving himself the score. So obviously whatever Floyd Mayweather thinks is what Floyd Mayweather is. All right. But let me tell you something. Okay, and I'm more so a boxing guy than I am a UFC guy. But Floyd Mayweather really wouldn't stand a chance against any of those guys, especially McGregor. All right, and it's just, with this fight, I think it's more so right now just viral marketing rather than anything substantial or real. Because of the fact that, it's just that. Floyd would get destroyed by anyone that he fought. All right? I mean, with Floyd, it's just a matter of, I'm not even sure if he's training when he's putting these videos out. Okay? I mean, he puts out the video of him walking into the octagon. How do we know that it's just like, oh, that's a wrap. All right, let's go home. Okay? I really don't think that Floyd has any, I can't say he doesn't have any interest because of all the implications of how much money he could make. But it's just, I'm not sure how serious he is about it. Okay? And me, for one, I'm not going to lie. I would probably watch this fight. Would I buy this fight? No. But it's just a matter of, why do we want to see Floyd Mayweather fight in the UFC? Okay? Like, why? I don't understand it. Is it because of the fact that you're trying to see, like, I don't know, because if let's just throw it out there, okay? Let's say that Floyd was going to go up against Conor McGregor in the octagon, okay? The odds in McGregor's favor would be absurd, okay? Floyd Mayweather might be the biggest underdog of all time. Those odds would be extremely low of winning. Kind of like, I think Leicester City was like 2,000 to 1 to win the Premier League the year they did. All right, Floyd's odds would be worse than that, I feel. Because of the fact that MMA is obviously, when you're fighting, it's many different styles. Boxing is pretty much the same thing. You're hitting the back, he's hitting you. All right, obviously Floyd's style is more so defensive and all that, and but you kind of get what I'm getting at here. There's wrestling, there's boxing, all that in the UFC and MMA. All right, Floyd can't learn that in 3 months. Floyd can't become decent at it in 3 months. All right, and I'm talking decent as compared to these professional MMA fighters who have been doing it for years on years and years. All right, so with Floyd, I think it's all just a matter of viral marketing, and I just think that this fight will never happen. I don't really understand why people, getting back to that point, like, why would people buy this fight? Is it because you want to see Floyd lose? Is it because you want to see how well he could do? Or is it just because you have to? All right? It's pretty much like you can't miss it. And I think that's one of the bigger reasons right there as to why someone buy the fight, is you'd want to be the guy who misses McGregor versus Mayweather in the octagon. By some chance, maybe Floyd hits him with a left or right hook and sleeps him. All right, and just imagine that too. If Floyd Mayweather ended up beating Conor McGregor in the octagon, just imagine the story that would come from that. All right, and even then, like I said, I highly doubt it happens. And I've said I'm not even sure if Floyd is completely serious about it, but I'm sure if Dana White were to go out and say, "Hey, Floyd, we'll give you $500 million to come fight whoever it is that may be," I'm sure Floyd is going to be thinking about it. All right, and obviously, like there's talk. Like I was talking with Tate on the GSMC MMA show earlier. Go ahead and check that out when you get to. But we're talking about legacy and all that. Like, this wouldn't hurt Floyd's legacy at all. Okay? Floyd is already one of the best fighters of all time. And people are going to say, well, he was never really a fighter. He was more of a runner and all that. Floyd's defensive style, if you can't learn to appreciate it, then that's on you. All right? I've really enjoyed watching Floyd Mayweather fight. I enjoyed watching him dodge and counter the entire time. I enjoyed watching him frustrate fighters. That was fun to watch for me. All right, because of the fact that it's a style. You have to appreciate the style. Obviously, he's not like a Canelo Alvarez. Alvarez is going to go toe-to-toe with you. Manny Pacquiao was more go at you rather than how Floyd was. All right, but nonetheless, it's what kept Floyd undefeated and what made him all kinds of money. All right, you got to be a special type of businessman to have people pay for your fights to watch you lose. All right, think about that. People hated Floyd Mayweather. Hated him. People still do. And they still paid money to watch him fight. All right? That's the ultimate businessman move right there. But either way, that's probably what it is with the UFC. If people were to watch that fight, is you want to see him lose. All right? And as far as it happening, obviously, like I said, it'd probably take like $500 million to get him out there. Maybe even $1 billion for multiple fights. And I'm not even sure where the UFC gets that kind of money. Maybe it's through other outlets and stuff like that. But with Floyd, again, it just really, I don't see it happening. If it does, I'll probably watch it. Won't think much of it. All right, the whole legacy thing, I mean, it won't affect him in one very bit. No one's expecting Floyd Mayweather to go into an octagon and beat anyone that he's against. All right? And, I mean, there is someone else that has kind of been rumored as far as making a little crossover into the UFC, and that's Anthony Joshua, right? The heavyweight fighter in boxing right now. Probably the best heavyweight in boxing right now. You could argue that Deontay Wilder is one of the best, and Deontay Wilder made some weird comments today, I think it was. I think Deontay Wilder said that he'd like to have a body on his resume, meaning he'd like to, I guess, quote unquote, like, I gotta double check the quote, but I'm almost like sure he was implementing at killing someone in the ring, all right, as far as boxing goes, and that's a bit out there. That's really out there, actually. Deontay Wilder does not seem like the most pleasant man to hang out with or anything like that. And, I mean, that's the fight that boxing's got to make right there after Canelo and Triple G is Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. All right? That's one fight I'd like to see. And I think that's a fight that could put the heavyweight division back on the map. All right? The heavyweight division in boxing has been dead for quite some time, but it looks like it's starting to come back to life and starting to bring some interest in there. All right? The casual boxing fan, I'm sure, hasn't caught up to it yet, but definitely watch out for that heavyweight division. But anyway, getting back to Anthony Joshua and the whole UFC thing, I saw that it's possible that he could actually be offered $500 million to go fight. All right? And I'd like Anthony Joshua's chances more than I'd like Floyd Mayweather's chances, and there's a big gap between them. All right, being a heavyweight in the UFC, obviously you got guys who can wrestle out there, but most of it is just big dudes throwing punches trying to knock each other out. Believe it or not, that's what Anthony Joshua does, and that's what he's best at. All right, throwing punches and trying to knock someone out. Anthony Joshua could be a tiny bit successful, or he could successful meaning he might win a fight possibly. Or he could go the James Toney route and just have Randy Couture run a clinic on him. All right, because, James Toney, when he made that crossover, I think James Toney was like the first one to go from boxing to UFC, I think it was, and the dude stood no chance. And James Toney was a big guy, too, wasn't he? James Toney, that's quite the name drop right there. But either way, yeah, Anthony Joshua was a guy who's rumored to possibly be getting $500 million to go fight in the UFC, and, I'm kind of surprised. Just by that figure, all right? Anthony Joshua isn't making anywhere near that in boxing right now, and it's just kind of like the UFC saying, like, if it's true and all, it's kind of like the UFC saying, we'll give you whatever you want, just come fight over here, all right? Anthony Joshua, I don't think, is worth $500 million to go have fight in the UFC. I think you could probably get $250 million, he'll still go do it. And I'm not even sure, again, if these rumors are true, but I like Anthony Joshua's chances more than I like a Floyd Mayweather's chances because of the fact that it's a little bit easier, I feel, for heavyweights because of the fact that they're always throwing punches at each other. And with Floyd Mayweather, if this guy was to accept a fight and all that, I highly doubt that it'd be like a real fight. I've been saying I think more so it'd be more of a charity exhibition type boxing fight. Not charity exhibition boxing fight, but you get what I'm saying, all right? Not too real serious. Give the fans a little bit of a show, and pretty much no one gets hurt. Everyone gets to go home and count their money. I think that's what it would be, all right? It wouldn't be like McGregor who went hard and throwing these punches or trying to submit Floyd or anything like that. All right, it'd be more so, I think, let's have the fight go on for a bit. McGregor wins just so everyone goes home happy. All right, but I'm not sure how it'll end up or if it'll ever happen. But either way, just wanted to give my thoughts on it. Next up, we're going to be talking some baseball. Going to be making my picks for tonight's NBA games and going to be talking about anything else going on in the world of sports. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far today, we've talked NBA, we've talked Floyd Mayweather, Anthony Joshua, UFC, and for this segment, we're going to talk about anything else going on in the world of sports. All right, we got the Final Four going on this weekend. It's going to be very fun. I think we got the games going on Saturday. Had opening day yesterday. Now it's the second day of the MLB season. The Red Sox lost to the Tampa Bay Rays yesterday. We're up 4-0, but that bullpen gave it up. More so Joe Kelly than anything. I think he walked like 3 straight batters when he was out there. Yankees knocked off the Toronto Blue Jays and pretty much just crushed them. All right. Stan hit 2 home runs yesterday, I believe it was. And that's just perfect for the Yankees right there, isn't it? All right, you bring in Stan. Now it's a lot of pressure on him. Dude's first game with your team. Hits two bombs, okay? That is going to be a very, very, very dangerous lineup to pitch against. Imagine, you're going to see Gary Sanchez, Aaron Judge, and Giancarlo Stanton. It just does not seem fun to me. All right, I think the Giants knocked off the Dodgers yesterday, and it's a big win for them, obviously. All right, it's always nice to beat Clayton Kershaw, and Clayton Kershaw, I don't know, that's a weird pitcher right there. All right, obviously he is the best in baseball. It's just a matter of when's he finally going to get that ring. All right, when is he finally going to have that postseason like Madison Bumgarner did, where he just dominates everything? All right, we still have yet to see it. But either way, all right, glad baseball is back. It's going to be a fun season. It's going to be a long season, all right? That's one thing too with baseball. It is very long, all right? 162 games, I think, is a bit much, but I think if they, let's say, had a proposal to shorten the season, I think that I would be possibly for it, but I'd also be against it. I think baseball is one of those sports that I feel like you can't touch. You can't really change it, all right? Like NBA, NFL, there's obviously some things you could tweak, but I think baseball right now is just the way it is. I think it's fine. Obviously, they're trying to shorten the game up a little bit. Pretty much just trying to not have it last as long as it usually does. I mean, it's like 3-4 hour games, but nonetheless, I don't know. I like baseball the way it is. All right, people want to see more home runs. I want to see pitchers duels. I want to see 2-1 games, 1-0 games, not 10-9 games or anything like that. But those are just my thoughts right there. I wanted to share. What else we got going on in the world of sports right now? I think, like I said, we got the Final Four going on this weekend. We get Kansas versus Villanova and Michigan versus Loyola Chicago. And it kind of feels like this is one of those weekends, like one of those semifinal type things where it's only certain teams are going to win. If it's kind of like if Loyola wins, then I feel like Kansas will win. And if Villanova wins, then Michigan will win. It's kind of like it has nothing to do with each other, but it's just kind of one of those things you got in your mind where it's like it's either going to be this matchup or the other matchup. There's no other way around it. All right, because I don't know. I'd like to see Kansas versus Michigan. I think that'd be a fun matchup. Loyola Chicago, I've enjoyed watching them throughout the tournament, but it's just a matter of now it's like, okay, that's enough. I don't want to see them in the championship game because of the fact that I don't think they can knock off a Villanova or Kansas. All right. And Loyola Chicago, they haven't really played a team as good as them yet. All right. And let me double check to see exactly who they've played just so I could be more so correct on it. All right. So Loyola Chicago they played Tennessee, they beat Miami, and they beat Kansas State. They also beat Nevada. So they beat Kansas State, Nevada, Tennessee, Miami. All right. Tennessee was a 3 seed, but it's just like Tennessee really, like, was that really a good team, or was it just a team who had a decent, I don't know. But Tennessee, I just don't think they're as good as anyone in this Final Four. And Loyola Chicago really hasn't played anyone super tough or anything like that. And I'm not trying to knock Loyola Chicago too much, but it's just a matter of I'd rather see Michigan versus Kansas or Villanova rather than Loyola Chicago versus any of those teams because of the fact that I just don't think that Loyola Chicago is going to be able to make much of a game. All right, and they did blow out Kansas State by 16, but it's just a matter of, like I said, it's just, I don't know, I just don't trust it enough. So, I mean, my picks for this weekend are Michigan. I'm going to go with Villanova, too. I think Villanova's going to end up back in the championship game. I think they won it, 2 years ago with Chris Jenkins? Now, so it's going to be Michigan, who lost to Louisville back in, 2013, I think it is. Like, technically now, that's not even a thing since Louisville got their wins taken away. But I think Michigan might end up being my team in college basketball. All right. They're good from year to year. Have a very good coach, good recruiting, and always make the tournament usually. All right. And usually the top team too. So I'm going to go with Michigan being my favorite team in college basketball. All right. It's not like I'm a diehard or anything like that, but that'll be a team I root for. There, we did that. And once college football season comes, we're going to have to figure out who my team is there. But either way, like I said, I got Michigan winning and I got Villanova winning their game against Kansas. So Villanova-Michigan championship game would be very fun to watch, I feel. Kansas and Michigan too. I don't want to see Loyola Chicago facing off with anyone in the championship game. All right, Sister Jean's cool. Kind of over it now. Now it's time to pretty much get back to where we were with the top teams out there in college basketball playing. All right, and with Loyola Chicago, it's not like this has been luck or anything like that. They do have skill on that team, and they have stuck to a game plan and played well, so I have to give them that. It's not like they're getting a bunch of lucky bounces. Like, they're beating teams pretty well. All right, only beat Tennessee by 3. I think they did relatively well against Miami, and then they knocked off the Kansas State by 16, I think it was. So they're playing well there. But either way, like I said, I'd rather see Michigan versus Villanova in the championship game. Michigan versus Kansas would work out too. But either way, I'd see anything else going on in the world of sports right now. Got a bunch of baseball games going on today. Oh yeah, Ohtani, the pitcher/hitter for the Angels, got his first hit yesterday. And I'm curious to see how this is all going to work out. Just because of the fact that we've never seen this before. I've never seen this before. And it's just going to be something new. I think it's kind of almost a little bit too gimmicky. And that's the thing too. It's not even a gimmick, I guess you could say, because the dude's really good at both pitching and hitting. But it's just a matter of it's just something very new that we haven't seen. But either way, there's that. I don't think there's anything really much else going on in the world of sports. So let's just make my picks for tonight's games. And we got a bunch of them going on tonight and Friday. All right, so first up, we got the Chicago Bulls facing off with the Orlando Magic. The Magic are 15-22 at home. Bulls are 9-29 on the road. Bulls are sitting on a bunch of players, so I'm going to go with the Magic in this one. I think they're going to be able to pull out the win. Then we got the Sixers facing off with the Hawks. No Joel Embiid. I kind of want to go with the Hawks just because of the fact that with no Joel Embiid, you're gonna have. I feel like the Sixers are gonna be a little bit shell shocked. All right, kind of down. That team's kind of down just with the fact that he's been out. So I'm gonna go with the Hawks. Actually, I think they're gonna be able to pull it out. It'll be interesting to see though because of the fact that Philly's still favored by 7.5 without Embiid. So we'll see. But I'm gonna go with the Hawks. I think they're gonna be able to pull off an upset. Then we got the Pelicans facing off with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm gonna go with the. Ooh, this is tough. I'm gonna go with the Pelicans in this one. Kevin Love's out. All right, I don't think anyone's going to be able to stop Anthony Davis, so I'm going to go with the Pelicans against the Cavs. Then we got the Suns facing off with the Houston Rockets. Pretty easy pick here. Rockets are 17.5-point favorites. That'd be tough to cover that, but either way, I'm going to go with the Rockets. All right, they're 31-6 at home. Suns are 10-28 on the road. Also just a bad team as it is, so I got the Rockets winning this one. Then we got the Nuggets facing off with the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder on the second part of a back-to-back. Lost to the Spurs yesterday. Probably should have done better, but nonetheless, like I said, they lost. Nuggets are a bad road team, 13-25. They do need this win big time. I'm going to go with the Nuggets in this, all right? The Thunder are spiraling out of control, I guess, in the beginning of it, so I'm going to go with the Nuggets. Then we got the Timberwolves facing off with the Mavericks. I'm going to go with the Timberwolves in this one. Timberwolves have struggled against poor teams. They struggled against everyone, I feel, but either way, I'm going to go with them. I think they're going to be able to knock off the Mavericks in Dallas. Then we got the Grizzlies facing off with the Utah Jazz. I'm going to go with the Jazz in this one. They need to start winning these games, all right? 2 bad losses to the Hawks and Celtics in recent weeks, and it's just a matter of now you got to pretty much rein it in and continue to maintain that 8th seed in the Western Conference, all right? Then we got the Bucks facing off with the Lakers. I'm going to go with the Lakers are favored in this one. Bucks are coming off of a nice little win against the Golden State Warriors. I'm going to go with the Bucks in this one. I think they're going to be able to pull it out. I'm not sure if Lonzo's going to be back playing this one. I know he left the game a couple days ago out with an injury. Isaiah Thomas is gone, so yeah, I'm going to go with the Bucks in this one. Then we get the Clippers facing off with the Portland Trailblazers in Portland. Clippers need this win big time, so I'm going to go with the Trailblazers. All right, I think the Trailblazers are the better team right now. They're playing the better basketball. I think they're going to pull it off, so I got the Trailblazers winning this one. All right, so let's recap my picks. I got the Magic, Hawks, Pelicans, Rockets, Nuggets, Timberwolves, Jazz, Bucks, and Trailblazers all winning today. I think I got like 4 upset picks. I got the Bucks over the Lakers, which is an upset pick. The Nuggets over the Thunder. Pelicans over the Cavs. Hawks over the 76ers. So yeah, 4 upset picks tonight. But that's actually going to wrap it up for today's show. Today we talked about yesterday's NBA games. We talked about Embiid being out for the Sixers, what that means for them, and how tough it's going to be for them to play without him. We talked about Floyd Mayweather and Anthony Joshua possibly ending up in the UFC for an absurd amount of money. It's going to be one or the other. I don't think the UFC is going to be able to get both of them to come over. And if I'm the UFC, you got to do whatever you can, I guess, to get Floyd Mayweather, but I think Anthony Joshua would be the more successful person. I think Joshua's the guy who get a win if he fought the right person, I guess you could say. And then for this segment, we talked a bit about the MLB, talked about the tournament, made my picks once again. I got Michigan and Villanova facing off in the championship game, and then we made my picks for tonight's NBA game. So thanks for listening to the GSMC Sports Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. All right, everyone have a good weekend. We'll be back on Tuesday, so stay tuned, and we'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.